Hello everybody! Welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Debbie B and I read a lot of books. And I finished another one on BorrowBox, which is a library app basically. It connects to lots of local libraries and this one's connected to mine. Not sponsored at all because nobody knows who the hell I am. And today's book that I finished is called Love Your Life by Sophie Kinsella. I had a bit of a love-hate relationship with this book, I'll admit. I'll read the blurb and then tell you why. I love you, but what if I can't love your life? Ava is sick of online dating. She's always trusted her own instincts over an algorithm anyway, and she wants a break from it all. So when she signs up to a semi-silent, anonymous writing retreat in glorious Italy, love is the last thing on her mind. Until she meets a handsome stranger. All she knows is that he's funny, he's kind, and soon she learns he's great in bed. He's equally smitten, and after a whirlwind, intoxicating affair, they pledge their love without even knowing each other's real names. But when they return home, reality hits. They're both driven mad by each other's weird quirks and annoying habits, from his eccentric naked sauna-loving family to her terribly behaved shirt-shredding dog. As disaster follows, it seems that while they love each other, they just can't love each other's lives. Can they overcome their differences to find one life together? So it's 368 pages in contemporary fiction, general fiction, humorous fiction, romance and contemporary. This was a very, very funny book. There were so many moments of complete laugh out, from the thing about the naked sauna, which was absolutely hilarious, to the way her dog just seems to rip up nearly every single shirt that her boyfriend has, to her friends and the way they use dating apps. I mean, one of her friends has put in so many deal breakers to the point where she even says that they can't live 10 minutes away from the tube. They have to be within a 10-minute journey to the tube. So when that boyfriend, you find out that he's moved and he's about half an hour out, they have everybody running around saying, oh no, then don't take this way, take that way. Oh, and get a skateboard, get a scooter, do this. Oh, when you add all this together, it'll be about 8 minutes. It's 8 minutes. It's like everybody's trying to kind of protect this guy because they think everything else seems to be absolutely perfect. So they're just like, just don't tell the friend that he's actually half an hour away from the tube. But yeah, Ava, I loved her, I hated her at the same time. I found her to be incredibly naive in the beginning, to be honest. Because when she meets Dutch, as she calls him, I say as she calls him, he introduces himself as Dutch at the writing retreat because they're not supposed to use their real names, because Ava uses a name that's actually quite similar to her own, and she's just like, oh, did I make a mistake? But yeah, so because they're not going off real names, she decides that his name is Jean-Luc and that he's some sort of labourer. She's just like, oh, he looks like he's good with his hands. And then they have a holiday romance, and then they have to get back to real life once the retreat is over. And that is the point when I started to think she was a bit naive, because when they get home and they realise they live actually not that far from each other, they both actually live in London, and she finds out his real name, which is Matthias, and goes by Matt, and she was like, oh, so, you know, with the Jean-Luc, I wasn't that far off with his name being Matthias, you know. It's still got a bit of a foreign feel to it. And then she realises he's not the carefree man that she met on holiday. He's actually quite rigid, and he's a bit of a businessman. He's part of a company which is a family business, and that his mum and dad are very strict and were in love with his ex-girlfriend, and Ava has to kind of try and slot herself into Matt's world where he's incredibly rigid, and when he's not very good at kind of dealing with stress. Everything that would be a deal breaker, hypothetically, for Ava if she actually agreed with the idea of deal breakers. Matt ticks off every single one of those. She doesn't like golf, he plays golf to relieve stress. The artwork in his flat is grotesque to the point where she absolutely hates it. His bed is the uncomfiest bed in the world, according to Ava, and he does not do hot baths. He does like tepid warm baths. The first time that she has a bath at his place and Matt runs the bath for her, she gets in and goes, "What fresh hell is this?" And Matt's going, "That's a hot bath." And she was like, "No, that is not a hot bath." And she does the bath according to her standards, and he puts his toe in and goes, "Oh my god, this is burning, scalding." And Ava's there going, "This is perfect bath for me." So you realise how many differences they have, and there comes a point when, even though they said like "I love you" to each other, you're wondering why on earth they're still together, because it seems like their lives don't fit together. They are completely on separate ends. I just realised I haven't actually shown you the front cover of the book. So yeah, that's the front cover, and it says opposites attract, don't they? And you can tell that they are complete opposites. They do have some stuff in common, like they both have a love of dogs, they're both extremely dedicated to the things that they do, but at the same time you realise that they are essentially miles apart when it comes to their lives. Ava is incredibly skittish in a way, like she never follows through. She always has a million things happening at once. There's a book that she wants to write, which is where she is on the retreat, you know, she wants to find a way to kind of hone in on that one thing that she wants to do. But even on the retreat she gets distracted by Matt, or Dutch as she knows him then. So she doesn't finish off that book that she went out to write. And when she gets back, she's got so many different things that she wants to do. She wants to write a book, she starts an aromatherapy course, she's got loads of kind of like, she calls it like adopted furniture, which she wants to do up, but half of it hasn't been finished. I mean, that leads to one of the other funny things in the book when Matt goes to her flat for the first time and they're having dinner, and one of the chairs breaks on him and they end up in A&E like on their first date. But yeah, you have Ava who always has more than one project happening at once. I'm a bit like that. I love feeling busy. But I generally do follow through on most things, whereas you're very aware that Ava does not follow through all the time. She has a close-knit group of friends who love her for everything that she is, and there's actually a point when Ava meets Matt's flatmates when she goes over to his flat, and she meets his flatmates and she realises they've got like a bastard chart on the wall where they tally up how much of a bastard people have been throughout the day. And there's actually a point when they add the dog to the bastard chart because they think that the dog, because he's been like destroying clothes. There's a point when the dog's called Harold, by the way. I think that's a great name for a dog. Mainly because my cat is called Harry, but yeah, they decide that the dog is just a complete menace, even though Ava's completely in love with him. And there's a point when, I think it's actually the first day or the first couple of days that Ava has spent in Matt's flat when the parents come over. So she meets the parents for the first time. And there is a book about the family business which has the ex-girlfriend's face on the back of it. And the dog manages to destroy the back of this book and like tears the ex-girlfriend's face in half, Genevieve. And obviously Matt's mum and dad are a complete shock. They're just like, oh my god, what has Matt got himself into with this girl? And obviously Ava is there going, he didn't mean it, he's a dog. At the same time she doesn't feel that bad about it because it's like, it's an ex-girlfriend, so why are they so hung up on her? But yeah, the relationship between Ava and Matt's parents, I think anybody who's had issues with in-laws will identify with Ava. The whole naked sauna thing is absolutely hilarious when she goes over to Matt's parents' house. And it's like this huge mansion because of the family business, and they're so rich. She realises that this family business is a lot bigger than she thought it was. Basically, they are in kind of dolls' houses, and it's like this big thing where it's become, there's like conventions, there's like fan conventions, and the ex-girlfriend Genevieve was like head of the fan club. Ava realises, wow, I did not realise how big this was. And when she goes over to Matt's parents' house, she realises it's basically a museum to the dolls' houses that they sell. And, you know, there's like an indoor swimming pool over there, which is leading up to the Naked Sauna storyline. And she goes over there when they have a meeting, and they're just like, oh, you don't want to be part of this meeting stuff, so why don't you go for a swim? And she's there going, oh, I didn't bring a swimming costume with me. And they're going, oh no, we've got plenty of spare ones in the guest house. So they was just like, oh, maybe this would be quite nice actually, after having a bit of a disastrous start to this. So she goes over to the guest house, she gets a swimming pool, she goes for a swim, she meets some of the extended family from Germany, and she thinks, oh, they seem really nice. And then she goes to the sauna, and then the extended family joins her in the sauna, completely naked. And there's Ava there going, I don't know where to look. You know, we don't do naked saunas over here, and I don't know where to look, and, you know, I'm seeing things swinging in the wind. Just that whole bit is absolutely hilarious, and it comes back round at the end of the book and kind of turns it on its head a bit. There were points when I did find Ava to be incredibly naive. I think there was a point about halfway through the book when I was actually telling my mum what I thought about the book, and I was saying, this girl is driving me up the wall, because this guy ticks off all of her potential deal breakers, and not in a good way. She doesn't like golf, and he has like a putting thing in his living room to help relieve stress. The art on the wall is horrible. He's like geeky, and one of his favourite things to do with his roommates is watch a countdown of how many internet users there are in the world. And she's there going, but I love him. And it kind of makes you think of like Ariel in The Little Mermaid, with you there going, you say you love him but you're 16. And in this case it's, you say you love him but you don't like anything else about him. If anything, this seems like you've fallen more in lust than in love. And even on the other side of it, when you're looking at how Matt reacts to it, you're just going, how has he not broken up with her? Because it's like she winds him up. Like, there's a point when she manages to break a piece of his artwork, which he's completely in love with, and you're just like, how was that not a deal breaker for him? You know, how was her not lashing out at him for his own home, from, you know, the comfort of his bed, to how he has baths, to the bastard chart on the wall, to just everything, to his shirts being ripped up by the dog, and you're just there going, is none of this a deal breaker for him? But then as you go through the book, you realise that actually they need a bit of each other, because Ava needs a bit of Matt's stoicness in a way, because Ava needs a bit of Matt to kind of level herself off, and Matt needs a bit of Ava to get that freedom back, because you realise he feels kind of stuck in his family business. He's not happy doing it. He wants to work with his flatmate in like tech and things. So when you realise how unhappy he is working for his family, and Ava's there going, but you need to tell them that you're not happy. You need to tell them that you don't want to go and work in Italy with your ex-girlfriend. So when he doesn't say anything to his family, Ava says it for him, and he's there going, why did you do that? And it's like, because you wouldn't, and you've already told me how unhappy you are, and if you're not going to say anything, then I'm going to say something. So you realise at the end of the day that they need each other to balance out the extreme parts of their personality. So when it comes to the point when they inevitably do break up, that's not really much of a spoiler, I won't say that, but when it comes to the point when they do have a break, and you see that their friends actually think they're good for each other, and you're just like, with the title Love Your Life, it's about loving their own lives and also loving each other's lives, because you realise that when you pick up Matt and put him in the middle of Ava's life, he is like an alien. He's like an alien exploring a whole new world. And there actually comes a point when they refer to it as kind of going to another country and learning each other's customs. So they actually start referring to each other's lives as Avaland and Matland. And that comes full circle with it as well. But they're just like, Avaland has its customs that you need to figure out, and it's like its own like love language, and then you've got Matland and he's got his like quirks and things that you need to get to know. So yeah, they need to learn to adapt to Matland and Avaland together. But this was a really, really sweet book, and despite the initial love-hate relationship with Ava, I thought that it was a really nice comment on how opposites do attract and how people can balance each other out. It's just like sometimes I look at my friendships and think, like, there's stuff that we have in common and there's stuff we don't. But at the same time, you know, we're friends for a reason, and, you know, I wouldn't change anything about my friends, and I'm sure that people wouldn't change much about me because, you know, what makes me me is me, and the same with my friends, what makes them them is them, and you just balance each other out. It's a story about balance and finding yourself and finding each other at the end of the day. It was a lovely book. It was such a lovely book. So, Love Your Life by Sophie Kinsella. It was just so sweet. It was just so sweet and so funny, and it was just adorable. That was just a brilliant book. Anybody who likes a typical rom-com style book is going to like this one, and with the comedy in there and a little bit of drama. I can imagine it as like just a rom-com movie, to be honest. Yeah, I always find myself comparing books to kind of like, can I see it as a series or can I see it as a film? This one was definitely a film. The next book I am reading, which I've just started, is 'Twas the Night Shift Before Christmas by Adam Kay. This one is actually quite a short book. I think it's just over 100 pages long. But I thought it would be a kind of a slight twist on a Christmas book. Because when I saw it was there, and I was just like, it's technically a Christmas book because it's 'Twas the Night Shift Before Christmas. And I've read Adam Kay's first book, This Is Going to Hurt, which was brilliant, hilarious, heartwarming, heartbreaking, and everything in between. I'm really looking forward to having that as my Christmas book for the year. Anyway, so thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. Hello to the new family members. It's been quite nice to see that number going up. I'm sure it's just family and friends from work who are watching these at this point, but it's nice to see you hanging around. Yeah, so I'll see you tomorrow with another day of Vlogmas. What day are we on? Is this 22? It's 22. So tomorrow's video is my review of 1984 American Horror Story, which was so gross and very comparable to my classic horror movie of the year, which I watched about a week before I watched 1984, which was Friday the 13th. Anyway, I'm going to stop blabbing on. So yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow for another video. Mwah. Bye!